Hi, this is Ishai James back with Counted Productions. I've been filming videos for 10 years. I've worked with dozens of clients and produced hundreds of videos for the web and television. And today I want to tell you the top 8 tips that you need to know if you're going to hire a video production company to make sure you get the most value for your money and protect yourself from a bad deal. Tip number 1 is to know what you're hiring them for. There's 2 things that I mean by this. It could be that you're hiring them to execute on your vision. You're going to come up with exactly how you want the film to look, how you want it to sound, and you're going to tell them basically to make it. The other option is that they're going to come up with their own creative vision. You're trusting them to be the creative minds, and they're going to do it in discussion with you about understanding your brand and your marketing goals. Tip number 2 is to look at examples of their past work. This is very obvious, not a lot I can say about it, but when you look at those examples, see if you can also find out what the marketing effects were of those past works, and if you can, what the budget was for them. Tip number 3 is to make sure you understand the details of your contract. How many revisions you're going to have is probably the most important thing that people sometimes overlook, because when the video is done, chances are there's going to be some changes that you want made. You need to know how many times you're allowed to ask for those changes and what types of changes you can ask for. Tip number 4 is know that revisions take time. And this is especially important if you're working on an hourly rate, because it's going to cost you more money if you request revisions that are very time consuming, and you may not realize how time consuming it's going to be, and that could cause problems when it comes time to pay. Now, even if you're not working hourly, you still want to know how long these revisions are going to take, because if you request certain things that take a ton of time, it means that since they're also working with a budget, they're going to need to skim somewhere in terms of how much time they focus on, and it may affect the quality of the project if they're spending, 40 hours fixing some little detail that maybe isn't that important. So when you discuss with them about revisions, make sure you have the conversation with them of what they would advise is the best use of resources, which changes are recommended and which ones are not recommended. Now, number 5 is to trust them to execute the project, and really don't micromanage and leave them alone. If you don't trust them, then you never should get involved in the first place. You should not buy from them. You should go somewhere else. But if you do trust them enough to buy from them, then don't try to micromanage them, because along with a similar line of what I said, the last one is it's going to take time away from things that could be better spent, and they have a budget as well. So even if you're not paying hourly, if you're trying to micromanage, then it's only going to mean that they're going to skimp on some other part of the project that maybe is more important, and instead they're going to focus on what you're telling them to do, which you don't know video as well, it may not be the best thing. So have that conversation with them. What's the best use of the resources? Now, number 6, I'm going to really hammer this home to make sure you understand it. When you speak to them about revisions, make sure you request the right revisions and have the conversation with them so that you're requesting the right ones. Again, you need to talk to them about what's the best use of resources. Now, number 7, I would urge you not to work hourly with somebody unless you really understand video to the point where you know exactly how long something should take. Working hourly is just a recipe for disaster otherwise, and I think this goes for anything, not just video, anything where you're hiring someone to do something that you don't really understand that well. You're setting yourself up for a bad scenario if you work hourly. It's either going to hurt you because they're going to run up the cost and you may not be aware of the fact that they're doing that, or it's going to hurt them because you're going to be constantly, critiquing certain uses of time and saying, well, why do you spend so much time on this and this and that? And it's just going to dampen the relationship. It's better to just have the cost up front, know what it's going to be. Now, number 8, on larger projects, expect a sliding scale fee. And this is very standard, very common for there to be a set price, but for there to be a caveat in the contract that says if certain conditions happen, that the cost may increase by a certain amount. This is to protect you as much as it is to protect them, because those conditions, they're going to be based on things that you do, that you request. I'm not talking like if it rains Thursday, then the cost goes up by 10%. That shouldn't be in there. But what should be in there is if you decide, you the client decide that you need to redo a particular voiceover, the cost may increase by 5%. for example, or any other changes that you might make that are going to be very costly to the film production company, they will want to write into that contract that the rate can go up if those things happen. Now, how does this protect you? Well, it protects you because if there are certain revisions that otherwise would have been out of scope, meaning that you couldn't be allowed to do them because it's not in the contract, well, with this sliding scale fee, that opens up the door a little bit so that everybody knows going in that if you, the client, decide on certain things being added to the film at the end, that you have the option to. You don't have to renegotiate everything from square one, but it is going to cost a certain amount. So it does help you because you know what those costs could be going in up front. And I would add it's the sign of a professional company that knows what they're doing that's going to write this in. If it's not in there, chances are they're a little less experienced, which may not necessarily be a bad thing, but it is something to be aware of. I hope this video brought value to you. Please subscribe to our channel for more videos like these. And in addition, I would ask you to share this video, and that would be super helpful. We're a young channel. We're trying to get out there and reach new people. So we really appreciate you sharing this video with your friends.